Okay, Judge, I'm sorry. We have a few minutes here. You have a lifetime appointment if you're confirmed. I asked a simple either-or question. Does the United States need more or fewer police?
Senator, the determination about whether there should be more or fewer police is a policy decision by another branch of government. It is not something that judges have control over, and I will stay in my lane in terms of the kinds of things that are properly in the judicial branch.
Okay, if you don't want to address whether the United States needs more or fewer police, we'll move on to sentencing, which is certainly in your lane. There's been a lot of talk about criminal justice and sentencing approaches and theories today. In general, is someone more likely or less likely to commit a crime if they know that they will be caught, convicted, and sentenced?
Senator, what is in my lane is the consideration of particular cases of
Judge,
prosecutions.
You've spoken a lot today about criminal sentencing, about the theory of sentencing. You've written a lot about it in your record. It is a very simple question. Is someone more likely or less likely to commit crime if they're more certain that they're going to be caught, convicted, and sentenced?
Senator, I am aware from my work on the Sentencing Commission and not as a judge that there is research into recidivism rates, into rehabilitation, into the factors that go into a determination about whether someone is more or less likely to commit crime. Part of what Congress has taken into account when it determined that one of the purposes of punishment is deterrence is the idea that if someone is convicted and punished, they will be deterred from committing other crimes.
And you've mentioned that, and you've written about that in your writings. There's 4 purposes of punishment. One of those is deterrence. Isn't it inherent in the concept of deterrence that people are less likely to commit crime if they're more likely to get caught, convicted, and sentenced? Why can't you just say that's the case?
Senator, it's not that I'm avoiding saying that's the case.
No, Judge, that's exactly what you're doing. I'm asking a very simple question. In general, is someone more likely or less likely to commit a crime if they know they're going to be caught, convicted, and sentenced?
It's very
the heart of deterrence theory.
It's very difficult to answer questions in general when you're asking about things like phenomena related to crime. It's the theory behind deterrence that by punishing someone, they will be less likely to commit the crime in the future. That is a theory that undergirds.
Do you think that theory is correct?
Senator, there is research that supports that deterrence is something that can occur. Does it occur in every case? I can't say that.
Okay, let's turn to something more concrete then. Do you know how long the average inmate convicted for a murder serves in prison in America?
No, I don't.
The answer is 17 years on average. Is 17 years too long or not long enough for a criminal to spend in prison for murder?
Senator, these are policy questions, whether they're in the province of the Sentencing Commission in terms of recommendations, whether they are in Congress. They're not the kinds of things that I can opine about.
So you don't want to opine on whether 17 years is too long or too short a sentence for murder?
Senator Cotton, the Congress has prescribed a number of factors that judges look at when they sentence. It may, in many cases, not be. I can't answer in the abstract in the way that you.
Well, these are very concrete. Let's turn to rape. Do you know how long the average inmate convicted of rape serves in prison in America?
Well, Senator, rape is not a crime in the federal system that I'm familiar with working with, so I don't know.
It's 7.2 months. Do you think 7.2 months is too long or too short for someone convicted of rape to be sentenced to prison?
Senator, that's a policy question about the egregious crime of rape, and Congress has said that the court is supposed to take into account a number of factors when it sentences.
Okay.
I can't answer in the abstract.
Well, Judge, these are not abstract. These are very concrete. And remember, these are just the length of sentence if you're caught, convicted, and sentenced. Let's look at cases in which people are never caught, As I said, in 2020, murders increased by the fastest rate ever in the United States. Do you know what percentage of murders are solved in America?
Majority of cases.
I do not, Senator.
The answer is about half, 54% in 2020. Do you think we should catch and imprison more murderers or fewer murderers?
Well, Senator, it's very important that people be held accountable for their crimes. So
Majority of cases, okay.
that is a fundamental tenet of the rule of law.
So is that a yes, we should catch more murderers, specifically the 46% of murderers who get away with it?
Senator, I'm not, to the extent you're asking about enforcement or law enforcement, those,
Judge, it's a very simple and common sense question. 46% of all murders go unsolved. Should we catch more of those murderers or should we catch fewer of them?
Senator, we should hold people accountable for their crimes. And so
Okay.
if people are not being held accountable, then that is a problem.
Let's turn to assaults. Do you know how many assaults were solved in this country in 2020?
No, Senator.
44%. So 56% of all assault victims did not receive justice. Do you think we should catch and imprison more criminals who commit assault against innocent people or fewer?
Senator, it's very important that people be held accountable for their crimes. So if they're not, then it would be a problem for the rule of law.
Let's look at sexual assault and rape. Do you know what percentage of sexual assaults and rapes go unsolved in this country?
I do not, Senator.
77%, more than 3/4 of all sexual assaults and rapes go unsolved. Do you think we should catch and imprison more rapists and sex criminals or fewer?
Senator, one of my two uncles was a detective in a sexual crimes and battery unit. So I'm very familiar with that type of crime. It's a horrible type of crime, as are all of these that you are articulating. And it is important for people to be held accountable for criminal behavior. It's fundamental to the rule of law.
Okay. So in 2020 alone, well over 1 million violent crimes went unsolved in America. Do you think we imprison too many violent criminals or not enough?
Senator, it's important for our rule of law to ensure that people are held accountable who are breaking the law in the ways that you mentioned and otherwise.
What do you think the families of all those victims think? Do you think they think that we should arrest and convict and sentence all these criminals who get away with it?
Senator, I know what the families of law enforcement officers think because I'm one of them. I know what crime does to our society. I care deeply about public safety. And as a judge, it's been my duty when I was at the trial level, I'm no longer there, but when I was at the trial level, to ensure that people are held accountable for their crimes.
Okay. Let's turn to the crime of child pornography. I know there's been a lot of talk about it today. I don't want to spend much time on it. A lot of people have tried to explain the various differences in these cases and the pre-sentencing reports and the sentences that they got. So let me just ask you a simple question about it. Should the United States strengthen or weaken sentences for child pornographers?